sports, politics, life. Jocelyn's Jewelry presents Kevin Keatsman Has Issues.
Let's just call this one your NCAA March Madness Bracket Buster. Lee Sterling will join us in just a few minutes. We'll go around his thoughts on the brackets, which teams are overrated, which are underrated. He's going to give you 2 free Vegas plays, Vegas lines of first-round games of lower seeds getting a chunk of points against better teams or teams that were seeded better. One, he's actually calling for the outright upset of a 12 seed to win in the first round. So he's going to give those to you in just a couple of moments for free. We're also going to have details on how you can get his service for the entire NCAA tournament for one low price. And each day of the tournament, you'll also get NIT, his best NBA play that day, his best NHL play that day, his best XFL on the days that they play, and even his UFC play on Saturdays. So you get all that for one low price, all the while during March Madness. Lee Sterling will join us in just a little bit. We're getting very close to, as we record this one, tip-off for the play-in games. And the play-in games traditionally are very exciting, and teams that have played their way in have actually done pretty well. Many, in fact, I think we had 4 years in a row maybe that one of the play-in teams advanced to the Sweet 16. They actually won 3 games. They won on either Tuesday or Wednesday night. Then they won their first 2 games over the weekend and made it to the Sweet 16. So these games aren't nothing. What I do like about the play-in games is they're almost always close. These teams are so evenly matched on Tuesday and Wednesday night. So we look forward to those, and we'll see how the play-in games go. Lee won't have any of those selections for you because of the timing of the podcast when it goes up and when you may be listening to it. It probably is irrelevant at that point. So for the purpose of this podcast, we're going to lock in on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll have a little fun picking our Final Fours, our national champions, and some things like that. There is some news out there concerning our area teams as they get ready to go play. Jalen Wilson has been named Associated Press All-American First Team. No surprise there. Led Kansas in scoring with over 20 points a game, 8.5 rebounds. He was also Big 12 Player of the Year. Jalen Wilson was also Sporting News All-American and will now likely have his jersey retired inside Allen Fieldhouse. Typically, if you're the Conference Player of the Year or you make First Team All-American AP, your jersey is retired at Allen Fieldhouse. Jalen Wilson has put together a season for the ages. There's work to do as far as whether you make a Final Four or another national title or a legacy, but Jalen Wilson, it's impossible to imagine where the Jayhawks would have been this year without him because he was just so steady night in and night out. It wasn't just the great games that he had. He was always there. I think there was 1 or 2 games when there was a little lull in the season where he did less. There was actually one game where he didn't score much at all, and I said, boy, this is a good sign. Look at the other players. I think KU maybe was playing somebody lesser in the league that night, and they won the game. I thought, well, look at this. Look at all these other guys going off. This is great. But we've kind of seen what Kansas is. You pretty much write down his 20 and hope for 25 or 28, and then you hope Grady Dick gets involved offensively. McCullough controls some defense in the glass, and KU plays a solid defensive game, and when they do that, you don't beat them. The games that they've lost, Kansas has struggled a little bit defensively, and generally speaking, Grady Dick has been taken out, sometimes by the defense, sometimes he had cold shooting nights. But that generally has been the formula to punch Kansas out. They're a huge favorite, obviously, over Howard. Howard is the first-round opponent. They are, would you believe this? They're one of the top 20 three-point shooting teams in the country. Now, that's against their schedule. They would not be top 20 three-point shooting if they were in the Big 12. So I almost hesitate to share some of these stats, but we have to do it. We have to talk about something here. 38% they shoot on the year as a team from three-point land. They'll be the first-round opponent. Then, as we know, it will be Arkansas or Illinois, and that's good enough players to beat Kansas. Are those good enough teams? Are they consistent enough? Are the coaches capable of beating Bill Self in an NCAA tournament game? That's an entirely different argument. But there should be enough talent on those two teams to play with Kansas. So we will see. Joining Jalen Wilson on the AP All-American First Team this year is one player from each of the other number 1 seeds. Brandon Miller from Alabama, Marcus Sasser from Houston, and Zach Edey from Purdue. So each of the number 1 seeds has a first-team Associated Press All-American. They all have, a show horse. They got a guy. They got a dude. The 5th member of the first team is Trace Jackson Davis from Indiana. And the Hoosiers, we'll get some thoughts from Lee Sterling on this. The Hoosiers, by many, are thought to be a little overrated or overseeded, shall we say, in this tournament. News around Kansas State, which doesn't play until the next to last game on Friday night. They're going to take on a Montana State team that won the Big Sky tournament to get in. Raekwon Battle is their leading scorer at 17 points a game. He's a junior guard. So perimeter defense will be a thing for Kansas State here. But this should be a game that Kansas State ought to just be much more athletic than Montana State and be able to get this thing. Kansas State, of course, got the 3 seed. And I've talked about, hey, you couldn't ask for much more if you're Kansas State. I've got no issue sticking with that, but there is a trend now over the last couple of days of something that's happened that I don't think anybody identified when the bracket came out. And that is a little bit of an anomaly in Greensboro. The teams that are showing up in Greensboro, North Carolina, for this first and second round, nobody is from there. Duke was too low of a seed, so they farmed them out. They didn't let Duke go to Greensboro. So nobody in that part of the country is buying tickets. The closest team in Greensboro is Kentucky. They're 5.5 hours away. And there are reports out there that they're buying up 70 to 80% of all the tickets in Greensboro. Should they beat Providence, Kansas State's got a road game on its hands. So I didn't really see that when the brackets came out, but now we're seeing that information come out over the last 36 hours or so. That's going to be a tough thing. It changes my mind. I thought all along, just go Kentucky, win. That's the team you want to play if you're Kansas State. I don't think that's the case now. Kansas State was not a good road team after the very beginning of the season. They picked off a couple early, then they were not good on the road. Kansas State has struggled on the road. They actually have struggled the last 6 weeks anywhere but Bramlage. They struggled at Sprint Center, T-Mobile Center. So they've certainly had trouble with that. I don't think they're going to have trouble with Montana State, but I've changed my mind now. Definitely go Providence. Not sure there's a huge difference between the teams, but it sounds like Kentucky has a couple of home games here in Greensboro, which I don't know that anybody else is really talking about much. Vegas has noticed, and they've actually got Kentucky rated ahead of Kansas State in the bracket, in the region, to get to the Final Four. Kansas State is the 3 seed. Vegas has them as the 6th best chance to make the Final Four. Vegas actually has 5 teams ahead of K-State with a better chance to get to the Final Four. So tough sledding for Kansas State that a lot of people didn't see when the brackets came out. That's why this stuff is so unpredictable. You can choose to believe the committee. You can choose to believe your own eyes. You can choose to believe Las Vegas. It's however you want to look at it. Missouri Tigers had won 5 in a row before losing to Alabama. And remember, it means something that they played Bama better than A&M, I think. I think it means something. Missouri will be taking on a Utah State team that's number 5 in the country in three-point shooting. And this is not a bad league now. This is the Mountain West. They're not bad. There's some teams out there. There's some basketball played in the Mountain West. They're not top to bottom like the SEC and Big 12. There's some nights off. You play the bottom in that league and you get a night off, it just becomes easy. You don't really get those breaks a lot in the like Kentucky lost to Georgia and Vanderbilt twice. So that's what happens in bigger conferences. That doesn't happen a lot, even in the Mountain West. But Utah State's a real basketball team. They are currently favored by a point and a half over Missouri in this game, which had won 5 in a row and has played its best down the stretch. Utah State, the Stephen Ashworth, as I mentioned, number 5 in the country in three-point shooting. 45% this kid hit for the season. 45%, Stephen Ashworth. So they've got a guy that can score from the outside. They have 5 starters that average double-doubles. They've got balance on the floor and a rock star three-point shooter. I think Missouri's goal in this game is get up in Ashworth's face, make sure he doesn't get open looks. If he winds up hitting 3 or 4 threes guarded, you can live with that. That might mean he's like 3 out of 9, 3 out of 10. Take something like that, let him shoot volume, but be on him. It's a big thing for the Missouri Tigers in this game. This looks to be a high-scoring game. These teams can both get up and down the floor. Utah State was the second highest-scoring team in the Mountain West. So there's a lot there for the Missouri Tigers in the possible entertaining first-round game. That is the first game in our area, 12:40 on Thursday, Missouri and Utah State. Remember, if you're going to a game or if you know someone anywhere around the country that wants to go to a game and they're looking for tickets, the best way is ticketsforless.com. They shoot them right into your phone. You get a 5 to 15% discount. There are never any fees added. When you're comparison shopping, there is no comparison shopping. If Tickets for Less is the same price as somebody else online, they're going to stick you with like $38 a ticket fees on those other sites. They don't do that at Tickets for Less. I know somebody that bought tickets last week in Kansas City from a different ticket company, and they couldn't believe how much they were. And I said, well, how much were the tickets? And they said, well, they were $86, but then I got hit with $38 in fees. And I looked at Tickets for Less website, and they were $84. I said, $84 at Tickets for Less is $84, and nothing added. It's so much better. And you get the promo code, typically 5 to 15% off. KKHI is your promo code. Even if you know people around the country that live in cities where they're having the tournament and they want to go, tell them to go to ticketsforless.com and use that promo code KKHI. The Bluemont Hotel is Manhattan's destination for business. If you travel on business, or if you're looking for a great place or have a meeting, a quarterly meeting or something like that coming up in Manhattan, or you do business in and around the university or all the government projects they have there with the NBAF facility and those things, or a ball tournament coming up this spring, soccer, softball, baseball, consider the Bluemont Hotel. You're going to love it. Your kids will love it too. It's attached to Goolsby's Restaurant and Indoor Entertainment Center. There's plenty to do for everyone right there at the Bluemont Hotel. Online at BluemontHotel.com. And Back Nine Development, Kansas City's custom home builder. TJ's got 3 nice projects going right now in Kansas City. If you'd like to build a custom home, TJ Vilkanskis is your man. From the plot of land through the design process of the home, all the engineering, everything you need to know, and working with interior designers on countertops and paint colors, they do it all for you. Back9development.com. TJ Vilkanskis can be reached at 785-236-0161. He also does commercial properties and ventures as well. If you're interested in like investing, or you're in business or you're looking for a place to get your money out of the bank and invest it now, want to do something really good and safe like a real estate venture, get a hold of TJ. 785-236-0161. The entire portfolio of custom homes and projects is at back9development.com. All right, Lee Sterling's here. We're going to get his thoughts on your bracket and some Vegas lines. Who's overrated, who's underrated? It's all ahead. Let's do it. Our Bracket Buster with Lee Sterling on KKHI. Hit it.
The KK Has Issues conversation is presented by Buck Roofing, online at rbuckroofing.com. Sleep well knowing Buck Roofing fixed the roof over your head.
Lee Sterling joins us now from ParamountSports.com, and he's going to lock us up for the NCAA tournament and then some. He's just in a giving mood this spring. I like this. We got March Madness upon us, but for $197, you get the entire NCAA tournament, all of the NIT. Oh, but he's not stopping there. Hello, Lee. How are you, sir?
I'm great. When you're winning, it is so much fun to come in. You're excited. And, I'm not going to stop there. I'm also going to give my top NBA play of the day. I'm going to give them my top hockey play of the day. And this is the ratings from 10 to 50 units, not just going to say it's this team. So every NIT game, every March Madness game, that'll be probably 5, 6, 7 games a day from now through the end of the weekend. And then it tails off a little bit, obviously, because teams get knocked out. But that'll go through Monday, the final, April 3rd. So we get all that. Top NBA play, top hockey play of the day, and we're rolling in hockey. Top XFL play, and there's games Thursday, Saturday, Sunday this week. We're 7-2. We've won all 4 weeks in the XFL. And my top UFC play, and they have a pay-per-view this weekend. And we hit a 50-unit play last week and a 100-unit play the week before, and we might have another 100-unit play this week going in the UFC. All that, not $397, $297, $197.
$197. All of March Madness, all the NIT, your play of the day in the NBA, the NHL, UFC on Saturdays, XFL, and this is via text. This is not a call-in line now. You're going to text people every day, and they can sign up at ParamountSports.com. Can they also call you, or is it sign up on the website?
Yeah,
only?
They can do it over the phone. Yeah, we can take your order over the phone. And by at the latest 2 o'clock your time, weekdays when there's not night games, when there's not early games, I meant to say, like today and tomorrow, and also on the weekends by 10:30 Central Time, they'll be texted out to you. So you're ready to go. You don't have to call a number or call again. You're set every day. That text will come to you.
That's awesome. All right, call 800-400-9741. That's 888-400-9741 or log on to ParamountSports.com. 197 for all the Madness Pluses play of the day in all the other sports as well. Before we go around each region here, Lee, your initial thoughts when the bracket came out. What did you think about the way the committee did?
Overall, I thought they did a good job. What about you? What do you think?
Me too. I really don't. I used to complain a lot more when I was younger. I look at it now, and I've watched so much of this tournament that I don't think you can predict in advance who got screwed and who didn't, because it never unfolds that way. The bottom line is you just got to go play and play well, or you're done. That's it.
Okay, so the only complaints I have were two teams especially. I thought Texas A&M got hammered, number 7 seed. Thought they should have been probably a 5. I mean, there's a team finished second in the SEC, and they put them against Penn State, maybe one of the hottest teams right now, first round. If they win, they got to play Texas. And if they win that, they probably got to play Xavier. So they did A&M no favors last year. They didn't put them in the tournament, and I thought they belonged. So they may have something against Texas A&M. I thought that was the team that got the shaft. And then the most overrated team was Indiana as a 4 seed.
Yeah.
I mean, 12-8 record. I know they finished second in the Big Ten, but everyone after Purdue, I mean, on any given night, any team could win. So giving them a 4 seed, and especially playing a team now that Miami has their starting center and really their only big guy possibly out for that second game. I just didn't think they deserved the 4 seed, probably a 6 or 7.
And I think I'm with you on A&M. However, I do think it's great that if they both win, Texas and Texas A&M will play each other. I think that's great. I think the committee should. I think the committee
who doesn't love it? And,
right.
and then probably the biggest complaint was they made a lot of teams who maybe deserved, okay, if you don't want to put, Kansas and have them, if they win the first 2 games, go to Kansas City, I just think that they didn't do a great job of a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Like, they're making them travel. I mean,
I thought that was the right call. I mean, Kansas 2 Saturdays in a row. Texas is clearly better than KU right now. I mean, this isn't even close.
Right.
I mean, they beat the living daylights out of Kansas.
I agree with that.
Twice in a row.
But look at some of the regions. Look at Greensboro. There is the closest team to them is a 5.5-hour drive, and that's Kentucky.
Yeah.
Who's going to want to go to that Greensboro? They couldn't put an ACC team in there, one team. Okay, if you don't want to put Duke, put someone else from the ACC in there. They're just people going to Greensboro.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. How many Kansas State fans are going to that
I don't
region?
know. I would think if they got 1,000, that'd be great. I can't even imagine. That seems like a lot.
Miami brings a couple, 2,000-3,000 there. So there'll be a lot of Kentucky fans, but Marquette's not going to travel. USC's not going to travel.
And we had that here too. We've had that in Kansas City before, where there's just no team in the first or second round that's even close, and it is tough to sell tickets. But I don't know how much they look at it like that, and how you just can't. You can't give advantages to teams just because they can sell tickets.
I get it. But for fans, it's not great.
Yeah.
A lot of times they got to arrange a plane travel, and planes. A lot of these to go sometimes an hour and a half, 2 hours on a plane is like $600, $700, $800, and then the rooms they get jacked up. Just a decent room at like a Hampton Inn, a Holiday Inn Suites, $450, $500. So, it's you travel for 2. I mean, you're looking at probably $3,000-$4,000 minimum.
I think as a 1 seed, Kansas deserve. We'll do the West last in Kansas. What you think of the bracket? But I think they deserve to be the 1 seed. They deserve to be in Des Moines. That's great. That's their kiss on the cheek. Yeah. They also got a bunch of high seeds there that are from leagues that weren't very good this year, and I think that helps a lot too. I think that does matter. But I'll say this about Kansas draw. They're going to get Arkansas or Illinois in the next game, in game 2. They're going to get one of those teams. Arkansas is loaded with NBA talent, and Illinois has wins over UCLA and Texas this year, and they've got a big man that could give Kansas trouble. I thought Kansas, if anything poorly went for Kansas, it was their second game, because I think they get a real test in their second game.
Okay, so I don't want to leave it at that. Let me just say this
let's
about
start in the West. Let's start in the West region,
okay,
buddy.
Let's start in the West. Okay, so here's I think it's the region that's easiest to get to the Final Four. Okay. Here's why. UCLA, they might have deserved the number 2, but right now with all their injuries, they're like a 5, 6, or 7. So I don't see them advancing. 3, Gonzaga. whenever they went up against someone decent, didn't fare very well. TCU, I don't think they pose much of a challenge as a 6. Maybe UConn is the scariest team there. St. Mary's, with their slow down offense, they don't do anything. Maybe we see some upsets there in the West.
I couldn't imagine a better draw for Kansas when I look at the teams, except for game number 2. And I think there's a hiccup there because Bill Self was in the hospital for 5 days. I think they go out and they easily beat Howard. But then exactly where are they as a team? What is Bill Self like? I don't know what he's doing today. What's his travel plan? Is it different? Mm-hmm. Does he go the whole time? Is he at practice screaming at him every day? I don't know the status of this team. And I do think getting one game under their belt helps, but I think there's a chance if they get to the Sweet 16 that they completely different team by then. I think they could have some normalcy back to what they're doing. But this first week is a little dicey with this coaching situation and everything else.
It could be, or, Arkansas and Illinois with all this talent, they could, show you why they were an 8 or 9 seed. There are some days they lose by 15, 20 points a lot of times. So, I think it's the weakest region. But as far as, what we're going to see as far as maybe an upset, believe it or not, I'm going to go with VCU in the first round here. I think VCU as a 12 seed has what it takes. They play really good defense. So I like them in that opening round game against St. Mary's. They use full court press. Mike Rhodes, team number 25 in scoring D, allowing just 63 points. So you're looking at it, you're saying, okay, getting 4.5, 5 points, and you only average allowing 63 points,
right?
Good chance you'll cover. And I like the name Ace Baldwin, one of their guards. So Ian Ford, Brandon Johns, these two guys, he was a Michigan transfer, was Johns. Nice combo there. That's going to be my sleeper first round upset in the West. So I like Kansas. I think it's going to be Kansas or UConn.
All right. And is there a team that you think is, I'm taking from that you like VCU as an underrated team here and not necessarily St. Mary so much as overrated. Who's overrated in there? Is there a team where you think you said, yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
TCU, maybe a game that most people, maybe another underrated team is Arizona State. Arizona State, when they're on, they're really good also as 11 seed. So if they beat Nevada, they could end up knocking off TCU.
All right, let's go to the South where Alabama is the number 1 and the Missouri Tigers are in there. We were hopeful that Missouri would get up to a 6 seed and maybe have Kansas State in the second round. That didn't happen, but that's okay. Missouri's going to be getting Utah State in their first game, then probably Arizona. I look at this as, man, I'll tell you what, I think Alabama and Arizona can both beat Kansas if they play well. So I start matching up these ones, and we gauge everything around here to KU. I think this is a tough draw for Missouri. They're an underdog against Utah State. This looks like a really tough region to me.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be the chalk region. I think Alabama and Arizona will meet here. Virginia just can't shoot. I mean, I saw them down here when they played Miami. I mean, just can't get baskets when they need to. And it's not like Miami's a great defense. You saw what Duke did to them. So you want maybe an underdog team in the first round, NC State. When they are on, they got 3 guards. They can shoot lights out. A couple games ago, they almost hit 100 points. So I like them plus the points against Creighton in the first round. And believe it or not, I like Utah State in the first round game. Give the Tigers credit. I mean, they came from nowhere. I don't think anyone thought this team was going to do anything. But you talk about a team that has some really good guard play. The Tigers need to force turnovers to be successful. They just don't turn the ball over Utah State. And they got 2 guys that shoot lights out from 3. This is an experienced team here. They set the line, and everyone's going, wow, the Tigers should have been favored. I think the right team is favored. I like Utah State.
That's interesting. Yeah, Missouri's played well down the stretch. They beat the teams they were supposed to. Then they played great and beat Tennessee, and they actually played Alabama better than anybody's played them in a while before Alabama pulled away at the end. So we'll see what Missouri brings. Dennis Gates in his first year there. A lot of folks just raving about what he's done. A lot of people also raving about Jerome Tang and what he's done at Kansas State. They stay on the 3 line, which was shocking to me. This team is 6-7 in its last 13 games, and they're a 3 seed in the East, where Purdue is the 1 and Marquette is the 2. And you start looking around at Kansas State and you go, what if they do play their best basketball? Are they a factor in this thing?
I think so. Here's maybe the biggest problem. I think they're going to roll in the first game. They're going to play Kentucky probably in the second game. It's going to be like a home game. 80% of that arena will be Kentucky. So we know what they've had trouble with, and that's playing on the road. So if they have to play Kentucky in the second game, could be a tough matchup. But I like Duke. I think Duke is playing the best basketball of anyone here. Purdue is good. But, outside of the center, Edie, I'm not impressed at all. So I like Duke to come out and win the East. You want some first-round upsets? FAU. The Owls are really good. They are dynamic. I think they'll knock off Memphis. Memphis had to really scramble and win a lot of games late, especially the last game, the championship against Houston. But Houston was playing without a couple of their key starters. So I like FAU there. And then another sleeper, the Ragin' Cajuns. You want a 13 seed? The Ragin' Cajuns, I mean, they got better as the season progressed. Nevada transfer Jordan Brown averages almost 20 points per game, 10.5 points. Are you kidding me? I think Tennessee will be caught looking ahead. So it's an interesting region. A lot could take place, and just don't think that the committee did Kansas State any favor having to play Kentucky the second game if it works out that way.
You know, I look at that region, and every year I try to find the teams that I go, because every year somebody who just is not playing well going into the tournament, all of a sudden a light bulb comes on and they flip the switch and there they go and they're good. I look at Kansas State and Tennessee there, and I don't know that either one of them will play well, but I don't hear anybody talking about Tennessee anymore, and Missouri just beat them last week. I look at Kansas State and Tennessee and go, if we're sitting here in the Sweet 16 and one of them has played well and won 2 games, we're going to go, how did they do that? They kind of limped to the finish line.
No, I don't think we'll do that because I love the coach, and I mean, I think Tang's incredible. But they certainly did them no favors as a 3 seed.
Yeah. All right. Okay, on to the Midwest, where Houston gets the number 1, and they will be coming to Kansas City if they win a couple of games there. Texas is the 2 and just couldn't have been more dominant down the stretch. And they have not given the head coaching job yet to Rodney Perry, their interim coach. They say they're looking for a bigger name, that he's going to have to go deep in this tournament to get the job full time. I can't even believe that at this point. Can you?
No, I think he deserves a job. I mean, they might be playing the best ball of anyone right now. They're right up there. So obviously, we talked about Texas A&M, but Texas A&M, even if they beat Penn State's got to play Texas, and then Xavier. That's a tough bottom part here. I think maybe you're looking at someone that can, maybe do some damage here. I like Kent State here. Kent State, first tournament action since 2019. Rob Senderhoff, their head coach, has them to a 9-1 record the last 10 games. They've scored at least 70 points in 10 straight games. They have a Duquesne transfer, Sincere Carey, averages almost 24 points per game in the MAC tournament. So that's a team that's hot, and just I think that they're going to play right with Indiana. So who knows? We might see a Drake Kent State round of 32 game with Miami with the injury to their center Omer, who we're not going to know until game time whether he's going to even be able to play or not. So that's going to be you talk about great games. I mean, we could see Texas A&M square off, and then after that against Xavier. I'm going to go with Texas. I think they advance.
Yep, they've been hot and they're playing great. That's obviously pretty good stuff. All right, what do you think about now? We're going to remind everybody you can get everything for the tournament, all the games against the spread, $197 plus the NBA, the NHL, the XFL, the UFC, all the good stuff he's tacking on in the NIT games. They'll text it into your phone each and every day. Before we go back over that and how that works, you going to give me a little nugget here? Give me a game or two. I'm on a cold streak last weekend, man. I need a winner. Everybody listening needs a winner or two Thursday or Friday. What do you got for us?
Okay, so I've got Charleston. Okay. Looking at the 12-5. Historically, it's been a great move to back the 12. So here's a stat that is crazy. So teams that have won 30-plus games that don't play in major conferences or don't have the team name Gonzaga. So you have to have 30 wins, play in a small conference, 10-2 record the last 10 years, not against the spread, straight up here. They're getting 5.5 points against San Diego State. They've got Charleston senior guard Darton Bolton. Bolton is really dynamic. 6'10" sophomore center from Croatia. Ante Brazic. Really good inside-outside tandem. So I like Charleston here as a 12 seed, as a first round play, and I also like Louisiana. I like the Raging Cajuns here. Same region, number 13 seed here against Tennessee. I think that game goes right down to the wire.
Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna go. That's what I love about this. Teams that we haven't seen, we're gonna go with because it looks. Well, you've seen them. We haven't seen them. That's awesome. Charleston and Louisiana, first round upsets, and you're taking the points here. We're not playing the money line, right?
Right, taking the points.
Take those points. All right. Call 800-400-9741 or log on to ParamountSports.com. Get the entire tournament plus for $197 and remind everybody what else they'll get other than just the March Madness.
They're also going to get my top NBA play of the day. And these are rated from 10 to 50 units. We're not just saying play this. You get the rating from 10 to 50 units so you know how strong to play the game. And also top hockey play, top UFC play on Saturday night, pay-per-view. Got UFC for the next couple weeks. And XFL 3 times this week. There's a Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday game there or more. And we're 7-2. We've won all 4 weeks in the XFL. Everything texted to you every single day. Just $197. We have never had a special like this. Works out to like a little more than $1 a selection. ParamountSports.com or call 800-400-9741.
All right. In your personal bracket, who do you have winning it all?
I have Texas. Longhorns.
All the way. All the way.
Right.
Not just their region, all the way. National champs.
No,
I think Rodney Terry would be the head coach at that point if he wins the national so there's about $30 million.
If he gets him to the Final Four and he's not named head coach,
he will be.
I might have a seizure.
I mean, I got to think just winning 2 games and getting the Sweet 16 will do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's done a lot better job than we knew. He didn't have a lot of experience. I mean, that's what they were looking at thinking, okay, how's this going to go? And clearly it's a gifted and talented team they've assembled there. But still, I can't tell you how shocking it was to watch a team just beat the living daylights out of Kansas on back-to-back Saturdays.
Right.
That we just don't see that around here. I mean, that team is really playing well.
And it wasn't like it was a fluke. Yeah, like I said, it was total domination. So it's going to be a fun tournament. I will say this. If you're doing brackets this year, this is the year to enter 2 or 3 because it's wide open. There's 15, 18 teams that can win, where most years there's only probably 5 or 6. So it's wide open. I filled out actually 3. Been 3. I usually only enter 2. Going to enter a third one because I just think anything can happen. I think because you're going to see when you see the NBA draft this year, you're going to be like, never heard of this guy, never heard of that guy. They're playing in the G League and overseas to make money now, and a lot of the top college players just aren't playing. So what that means is it's been spread out, and a lot of these teams that have, got a bunch of kids that are juniors and seniors, they have an advantage, over the one and dones.
Awesome stuff. He's Lee Sterling.
Yep.
ParamountSports.com, 800-400-9741. Lee, thanks for all your insight, buddy. You're the best.
Okay. Thanks, Kevin.
Take care. There's Lee Sterling. It is ParamountSports.com. No promo code or anything like that necessary. Just go there and you'll see his March Madness special. You get the entire tournament, all of the games that he's playing for $197. You get the NIT on other days. Then he gives you his best NBA, NHL, UFC, XFL matches each time they go. And it's a text every day. If there's day action, he'll send that by 10:30 Eastern, which is 9:30 Central, obviously. And the other way around is by 2 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern, you get the night picks all the way through the tournament. If you want those, just $197. You know why I love Lee? And I've told you this a bunch. There's a lot of games that I know myself. If I'm sitting here watching Big 12 teams play or teams that I've seen play a lot, certainly NFL teams you're familiar with, I kind of go with what I do. I am definitely going to play Charleston plus the points. I am definitely going to play Louisiana plus the points because he's put the time in. He's researched it. I haven't. I don't know. All I know is getting 5 or 7 points in the first round is a big deal. And if those are legitimate teams getting 5 or 7 points, they could actually be down most of the game. You could be down 10 or 12 and not be the better team and still get a couple of shots late and cover a 7-point spread pretty easily. So I love that. And I know that he loves taking points and finding teams like that. So Charleston and Louisiana, the early round matchups that he likes, says take the points there. Those are absolutely free, courtesy of Lee Sterling at ParamountSports.com, who does such a great job all football season with us here, talking lines, and now we're doing it with March Madness on Kevin Keatsman Has Issues.
Thanks for listening to Kevin Keatsman Has Issues, presented by Roberts Robinson Chevrolet Buick GMC. To get exclusive patrons-only podcasts, receive a weekly newsletter, and attend in-person patrons-only parties, visit kkhasissues.com and become a patron today. This has been a production of Crooked Tail Media Incorporated.